right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this transportation meeting on June the 8th, 2021. Let's see. Everybody's here except for Mr. Lawler and Mr. Lambert. Aaron did tell me he wasn't going to make it, and I know Dempsey left early last night, so I figured he was still doing work business. Mr. John is going to lead us in the invocation and the pledge, so if everybody will stand, please.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we ask your blessings on this gathering tonight as we conduct business for the people of Ascension Parish. We address our transportation needs, keep us aware and mindful of the needs of the people of the parish. Help us and guide us to make the right decisions in their best interest. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for that.
And for LSU's
For LSU's win last night. I like that.
You could have mentioned that.
We had a late night watching that one. I don't have any, obviously, chair report or anything like that. Public comment, even though I don't see anybody from the public, if somebody shows up, feel free to fill out a slip and hand it to them, and they will take care of it for us. So we'll move on to general business. Item A, acceptance of the minutes from May 11th.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Ms. Terry and a second by Mr. John. Any discussions or objections? All right, so moved. Transportation impact fee road modification. Mr. Jerome.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to utilize some of our high-tech equipment here. So, see if we can get
Hopefully
this
we don't have the
on.
same problems we had last night.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's hope we're luckier than we were last time.
There we go. Before I get into the actual road that we're including in the program, last transportation meeting, you had asked me to bring back some information to you about where we actually spending the traffic impact fees. And so with the help of Jeff Burst, he provided me this information, and this is where we're spending so far the impact fee money that we've collected. All right, so if you can see the column I where it says paid impact fees, we have $100,000 going to Roddy Road between LA 935 and LA 621. I won't go through the whole list, but you can see those there. The big ticket items: LA 73 turn lanes at Brown Road, LA 73 turn lanes at Oakland Drive, turn lanes at Henry Road. And right now, yet unspent but allocated is the Airline Highway at Germany Road intersection, which is what we're going to be doing on that particular road. As you're going in a westerly direction, it's going to be near the new McDonald's, and we're going to be putting in a left turn lane, a through lane, and a right turn lane there. Nice. And we're going to be using impact fee funds for that, right? The other one right now was the last two, Highway 930 widening near Causey Road, and then 930 widening LA 42, and I'm not quite sure what the difference is between those two. I think it's the same
One's
project,
cleaning and grubbing,
but it's two different phases,
yeah.
right? So those are the funds, and I can provide the spreadsheet to you guys if you'd like that. All
That's
right?
great.
Yeah, that's great, Jerome. Thank you so much.
So we are using the money. We're not just collecting it out of, But the other thing I wanted to show you is the fees that we've collected so far on this. Doesn't show up real, but Zone 1, which is the area in the West Bank, we've collected $107,000, and there's not much money there to do a real project. Zone 2, which is the blue area down below, $3,291,000, and Zone 3, $7,253,000. All right, so obviously where the development's been occurring in Prairieville, in that area, that's where we've collected the most funds. All right. So, yes, John?
Does that include commercial?
It includes everything: commercial, residential, industrial. Yes. Okay. So under tonight's agenda, we had brought up. I'm sorry.
Could I ask a question while I'm thinking about it, Jerome? So could you do us a map of the locations, like when you show us this map with all the zones?
Right.
Could you put the locations in those zones that we've done impact fee improvements?
Sure, I can create that
Drop
map
it, just
for you.
drop
I
a
can
pin
have that
on
for you.
those.
Yeah, I'll have
I
that.
think, I use that term, I don't know what it means, but I've heard people say that.
It's close.
Just drop a pin on those.
Okay, there you
That
go.
way, we know that,
Sure.
where that money's being utilized in that zone.
Right.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
be happy to do that, yeah. So before you tonight, last month, we brought to you this map where we're adding and subtracting highways into the program. And we had Highway 22. We felt that let's take that out for now. Let's consider that at another time. And hopefully we'll get through another contract and we'll update the entire program. And we'll look at all the roads in the parish at that time. And if 22 warrants being put in, we'll do it at that time, all right? Tonight, though, I think what we really like to discuss and have you approve is the addition of Cannon Road. And this is an important project for us right now. I've been working with Councilmember Wagasback on this and some others and John Yu, because Cannon Road, I think, divides both your districts, right? And so you're in the south, John, and I think, Dal, you're in the north side of Cannon. So obviously, this road impacts a lot of your constituents. We want to add Cannon Road in from, what was it, 431? I'm sorry, 931, all the way to Airline Highway. And there's a little gap there that does not extend all the way to Airline, but that property is for sale right now, and we'd like to acquire that and see if we can widen Cannon Road all the way from its eastern point all the way to include the addition of that little gap piece all the way to Airline, all right? So as I said before, how the program works is that it's based on the linear distance of roads that are in the program. So in order to add something in, you have to take something out. And so we decided to look at this Highway 75 corridor near where it meets 73. So it goes all the way from the parish line with Iberville and approximately to Ashland, where Ashland is. The numbers aren't precise, but they're close enough to where we can work with them right now. Okay, so I would leave it at that, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Motion. Second.
Okay, just so I'm clear, what are we motioning to, for him to go ahead and start adding,
Make
doing the
it.
extension?
Just
Okay,
add and take out 75.
okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I have a motion to add the extension of Cannon Road and take out Highway 75 from the traffic impact fee schedule. I have a motion from Mr. Wagasback, a second from Mr. Cagnolotti. Any objections? Any discussion? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's gonna make a lot of people happy. All right, item C, department report, Mr. Joey. Thank you, Jerome.
I'm going to follow along in the handouts that you have. The first thing is the DOTD report. Believe it or not, LA 42 is very close to completion.
I don't believe it.
I understand. There's actually been some permanent striping there, and I know a lot of people have complained about how dark it is.
Yes.
But whenever you finally add reflective striping and reflective buttons, you know, the reflectorized markers, it does brighten up the roadway during nighttime travel. There still is not lighting out there, so that's, you know, if additional lighting is desired, that's a whole nother ball game. It's quite a big expense, but you know, I think just the fact that they finally have some permanent striping, which has the glass beads in it that'll cause reflectivity, along with those buttons. And I don't know if it's actually complete on the entirety of LA 42, but I know there's some of it that is down right now. So what the DOTD people have told me is that there's still some permanent striping to be done, some hydro seeding, so that some dressing on the outside slopes, mailboxes to be put up, and, you know, dressing of the project. So it is very close to being complete. The LA 44 turn lane project that included Bayou Narcisse, Cantey Road, and the Germany LA 931 project, roadways, those intersections, that's virtually complete. I think there's very little left to be done. It might be just minor dressing. Next in your packet is just a summary of work that was done in-house by our paving crew. Some of it is asphalt paving. There's also asphalt patching. There's some leveling done with limestone. You notice too, the boat ramp at Fred's, they had to do some work there. With all the high water, it generally washes a lot of aggregate away, so they had to refurbish that area. There's a crossing that was done at Carpenter's Chapel. They finally asphalted that crossing. And then they constantly do crack sealing. So that's all in that paving report. Next, it shows the texture sealing that's done by our contractor. And what you have is 14 rows that was done in the month of April, followed by 23 rows that was done in the month of May. What I have also is I'm sorry I didn't include that in the packet, but there is 10 projects that DOTD has on their list that's going to be let for bid for the remainder of the year. DOTD is not doing a lot of work right now, but there's a lot on the horizon. The LA 44 at 941 project that includes some roundabouts, that project did get pushed back. Initially, it was supposed to be let this month, but I was told it was pushed back to the month of, well, later this month, actually. But it was supposed to have been done in May. So that project is still to be done, to be let for bid. LA 74, that we all know is in poor condition, from Airline Highway to the parish line, is going to be let in June, along with LA 70, which is actually in Iberville Parish, but it's from the Ascension Parish line to the Ascension Parish line. It does not touch the Sunshine Bridge, but it's on either side of the Sunshine Bridge. So that's going to be done, that's going to be let for bid, along with Cornerview and Airline Highway. There's offset left turn lanes to be built there. That's a project to be let later this month. In September, there's going to be an additional left turn lane from Airline Highway to Old Perkins, along with concrete patching of the I-10 area at the interchanges of LA 22 and 73. All of that in September. In November, there'll be the LA 18 project from the Sunshine Bridge to LA 3120, River Road, immediately after you cross the bridge to the right. River Road there will be redone. In December, there's going to be two projects, LA 1 from 3089 in Donaldsonville to the Iberville Parish line, and then LA 73 at LA 75. They're going to add a right turn lane from 73 onto LA 75. And then the LA 30 roundabout project that's been on the books for quite a while. It's they tell me now it's going to be February of next year before that project's going to be let. So that's generally the what's on DOTD's document, the docket.
Just, Joey, which roundabout on 30?
On LA 30, there's going to be three roundabouts. There's one on either side of I-10, and then the other one's going to be at the St. Landry intersection.
Ms. Terry?
Hi, Joey. So tell me what's going on with Sebro.
Sebro, we are very close to getting the change order finally rectified to where as soon as that is done, we're going to start work. We're going to start construction on it. We, presented everything to the contractor. We have all the quantities to them. What we are going to do is there's going to be some milling on the existing roadway. We're going to be cutting soil cement, normal type construction for this area, widening to the south of the roadway for the entire length of the project. I think the change is going to be very good. I am a little disappointed that the contractor didn't act. They've had the quantities, in their laps for a while. I'm continually pushing them to get me those numbers to where we could come to an agreement on the quantities, on the prices. It will be an underrun. I guarantee it's going to be an underrun. And we will, as soon as we can get those prices from the contractor and come to some kind of agreement, we're going to start construction.
So if I may follow
Yeah,
up, Mr.
absolutely,
Chair.
absolutely.
So is it typical that we would let a contract and then spend a year trying to negotiate a change after we've let a contract? I mean, I don't recall doing that in
No.
that way previously.
Correct. And I'm the one who did it.
Okay,
I'm the one to
I
blame.
can tell all those people that.
I am the one to blame.
If I were you, I'd stay off of Seabrook Road right
You
now.
want to put your cell phone number out there, Joey?
But I do
Joey
want,
Turo.
I do want the project to happen as soon as possible, and I've mentioned to the contractor several times, we all go on vacation, we all have other projects to work on, but I'm telling them that, hey, we're beyond that. We need to start working on this project, and we will. I'm getting to the brink of to where we need to have serious conversations to get this project moving, and we will get it moving. And I think
We
the
can go to a
changes,
second bid. I mean, if they can't do this, don't want to do this, is there another company that wants to do it?
right, yeah. I think they want to do it. I think they just had some other projects going on, but I'm beyond that being an excuse. I think we need to, I don't mind opening up other possibilities, but we will, I think these guys do want to get to work on it, but I'm going to keep pushing them, and I don't mind you following up with me to make sure that we get these guys moving on this.
I appreciate that, Joey. I mean, I don't like to dog anybody, you know that.
Right. No.
I know people have their jobs to do and that it's complicated, all of this.
Right.
But this, I'm getting real impatient with this one.
I understand.
We opened a bid in September of 2020. We're almost there again.
Right.
And we still don't have a piece of dirt turned out there. If we have to change company, I would like for us to do the best we can not to have this happen again. So I think we need some kind of evaluation of what happened, that this company, this resulted in this much time.
Now, one thing is, like I said, it was my fault in that I proposed some pretty drastic changes, and I really still think it's very good changes. It's going to cause an underrun, and it's going to make the project easier to construct. It's going to create a better project. It's going to last longer. So I think it's all good changes. I've got people who I've consulted that have expertise in their individual fields, and I've got nothing but positive feedback on the changes that are proposed. So I think we're in a good direction. I just need to get the contractor to shift gears and start working in this other direction. And I think we have good people involved with it. The contractor is a good contractor. The consultant they're using is a good consultant. We've used them before. They're competent. I just need them to get the lead out.
Yeah,
get things moving.
absolutely. And certainly I would like to encourage you and I don't know, I think it was probably in the transition period, but I would like to encourage that when we look at a contract or we look at a design, that we get it right the first time. So that we
Correct.
do not expect these folks to make a bid on a particular product and then have us begin to negotiate for a year with them about how to
Yeah.
change it. I love spending less money. I'm happy to do that, and I certainly want a better project. So I think that the end's going to justify the means, but the challenge is that the time's running out.
Right. And I was not involved whenever the plans were put together, so I've got a lot of skin in the game in
Right.
that, I proposed the changes myself, so I surely hope this works because it's on me, so-
We're going to remember that, Joe.
Right.
That's on record now.
But
You're in trouble, Joey.
I'm confident that it will work, it's not anything tremendous. It's not like I reinvented the wheel, it's stuff that we do all the time.
I have confidence in you, Joey, but I am concerned about the timeline.
Right.
Councilman Wagensbank? Well, I hit the button. I don't understand this thing. Go ahead.
Hey, Joey,
Yes.
Angel Estates, I know that y'all started working on it. Do you know when we're planning on possibly paving it? So I've just gotten some questions about it. Didn't know.
Is that part of the task order 1? You said Angel Estates,
Off of J.D. Broussard. And you can get back to me later. I mean, if you, I'm kind of throwing that out there on you. If you want to,
South on Jail Court, East on Jail Court, West on Jail Court, North on Jail
That's it.
Court.
Yeah, they're all being done. They're
task
currently
order one,
work.
and They're currently under work.
all right, that sounds good. I missed that. Sorry. Well, I know they started work on it. They're kind of asking when they're going to go back and pave it. I think y'all been doing like some of the drainage work and stuff like that, so.
Angel Court.
Oh, did I say it wrong? Angel
Yeah, it's
Estates,
Angel
that's somewhere
Court.
else. I'm
And
sorry.
they do have a north, south, east, and west of
Right.
Angel Court,
So-
and they have been working on it. We've had a little rain lately.
Yeah, yep, understood,
But they
understood.
did start doing a lot of curb work. So that's mostly what's been done so far is curb work.
Okay.
That roadway had a lot of problems. I mean,
Yeah,
it
it had a lot
was,
of-
whenever we opened up the onion, and peeled off surfaces, we found
Mush.
pretty big problems, there, so.
Which is a lot of problems were there, right? Those big divots and,
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, there
Okay.
was a lot of, just a lot of problems.
That's
I mean,
fine. No, that's-
It's a good bit of work. There's been work done out there. The plans did say that, there was work needed, and the work has been started. It was a good assessment that was in the plans to
Right.
tell the contractor there was a lot of work needed, and there definitely was. So they are on that work.
okay.
Of course, with all the weather, the contractor has not been working much lately. But to let you know about that's part of task order 1 for the road rehabilitation. They are about 80% complete. So they've 8, 9, 10, 11. They've done about 14 different roads on task order number 1.
Okay.
The largest, which was Norwood Road, but there are a few more that's left to be done, and the major part of it is Angel Court. So that's in the works, and whenever we get a nice little break in the weather, they'll continue to attack it.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. I wanted to give you just an assessment on where we are on the roundabout that's under construction, which is Highway 930 at Henry Road. We found out while the construction was going on is that area is in a bowl, an absolute bowl. Those two major weather events that we've had, I had to get some barricades for the area to warn the motorists, that there's standing water. And I used hip boots to get to those barricades. And it was both of our high-intensity rain events. Each time, the entire project was underwater. Now, the plans, and we checked it, and the designer addressed it nicely, in that the roundabout and the area is going to be much higher. So the travelers in that area, once the roundabout is finally built, they will not have this issue. You should be able to drive through it without, having to have a large pickup truck. Because during those two events, if you did not have a large pickup truck, you could not go through it. So it is, it was eye-opening for us, but, that is a very low area, and it's right in the intersection. So once the project is complete, it'll rectify that problem along with, helping the capacity of the traffic in the area.
Mr. Caglani?
Yeah, Joey, just a quick question. I brought it up, I think, last month, but 73 Bluff Road connector? It's not my district, but I have a lot of friends and family that live out that way.
Right. We had a meeting this past week with DOTD that really addressed the status of everything on that LA 73 corridor, and it was a very good meeting. Just to check the status, it kind of reviewed on Jeff was in attendance also, and he has some information on it also, but the parish is requiring a traffic engineer for the 621-73 intersection. So we're aiding DOTD to hopefully have that, the rigors of getting those plans together and the project moving. The parish is helping out to get that delay. That's usually, that comes about with, getting a project that's starting from the ground up. And that is a new corridor that's going to address that area. But to your question about the LA 73 Bluff corridor, we had that was discussed also. It was brought to our attention that whenever we make that connection, DOTD wants a left turn lane on Bluff Road for that intersection. So we're thinking through that progress. We didn't know that was going to be a requirement, so it will require a supplement to the contractor so he can address that part. There's still the project in the future that I'm trying to get my thoughts together on it. But one decision that was made, whenever the connector road gets built, there was thoughts about temporarily we would have a traffic signal there, and then later on the roundabout would be built. But after discussion and people are looking at timelines, it was agreed that we don't need to waste our time with a signalized intersection. The timeline of the roundabout and the connection are going to be close enough to each other if they try to make a separate turn lane there with a signalized intersection. A signalized intersection. The roundabout is almost the same timeline. So that's one decision that was made, is that they'll take a signalized intersection out of the equation, and once the connector road is built, it's going to be with a roundabout as the connector to LA 73.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Kanzo?
So let's dig a little deeper. How will we educate the public, which is already reacting to the idea of a roundabout at that connector in a negative way? What effort will we make as a parish or within HNTB or however we need to do it, to do some public meetings out there to model how that's going to work and show people that they're not going to be sitting there in a roundabout that they are dead stopped in? I'd like to see that too. And so I think it would be very beneficial. Otherwise, I think we're going to get a lot of pushback. Not that we don't do what we need to do, but we're going to need to educate.
DOTD did think about that same thing, and it was discussed at that same meeting that every part of that corridor could be addressed or should be addressed at one meeting. And I did talk to Jeff Poweron with the school board. They were highly pleased with being able to offer Dutchtown High School as a meeting place. But what it would involve would be a public outreach that would include the entire corridor. So what it means by the entire corridor is if you start from the south, it would be Cary Lane that the school board is proposing as a connector to Dutchtown High School. So that's a project on its own that the school board would be funding. And just as a side note, whenever I talk to Jeff Poweron about the status of that, they're just concentrating so much on the construction of Prairieville High School right now that they're not really, they're going to wait until they see how the monies come about with the construction of the high school to see what funds are left, and then they will address that project. So that's one project, a connector from Cary Lane to the high school. Another possibility is a roundabout at 73 and 74. As you work your way to the north, the roundabout at the new connector road, and then the connector road itself, including, the turn lane on Bluff Road. Once that is done, you'll have the right in, right out at Sebro. You continue more to the north, you go to the other side of I-10, and DOTD is working on the relocation of the 621-73 intersection further to the north. So all of that would be presented to the public because each project by itself maybe doesn't make perfect sense, but whenever you put the big picture together of the entire corridor and you see, I know the people there have suffered quite a bit on the congestion in the area, and it'll show them that there are people working towards trying to relieve that congested area.
May I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate that so much, Joey. I think that, I love what you're saying. I do know that at this point, that corridor is so congested that it is affecting the property values along the corridor. And my understanding is that DOTD's goal is to help us to have our property values maintained and the economy strong. So I would like for us to argue vehemently that this needs to be done much more quickly than it's been getting done. We've been talking about this since I got on the council. And I mean, it's frustrating not to be able to see anything happen. So what do we need, what do you need from us that we could do that would better encourage this to proceed as quickly as possible? I mean, we're in a corridor now where, I mean, I'm a strong proponent of economic development. I've always been an advocate for business, but I understand the concerns of people and the inability to move in a corridor. And we are at a flashpoint now. We're seeing our properties, even someone like myself who's always supported development is looking at, I can't support this. I can't ask people to take anymore. And it is just unfortunate because I'm such a strong believer in the rights of landowners, and we have failed, the state has failed, to get us a way to continue to enhance the values of those people's property and to help them to be able to make the economic development issues that they need to make that are in the best interest of their families. And I understand how hard it is, but we got to get this done. We're now at the point where we can't take any more. Have they demonstrated to you a real commitment to these projects? And what's the money? Where's the money? Is there money? Or are we just talking about something that might come in the next 10 years or so?
Well, you know, there's all these aspects, and Jeff Burse is going to know more about the money than I will. But, you know, one thing that I do know about each part of these projects, the little pieces to the puzzle, is the connector from 74 to Dutchtown High School is a Ascension Parish School Board funded project, so that money is there. Now, I guess they're using caution in case, I guess, the Prairieville High School project gets crazy with money, but it's their intent. They've always told me they're intending on following through with that project, and we've offered, you know, the Move Ascension, I guess, machine, or, you know, the way that Move Ascension is able to get projects done quickly. We've offered the style, I guess, of the Move Ascension to help them out. So Jeff knows, I've reached out to him. He knows that the parish has a lot of support for that. And then moving along to the connector road between Bluff and 73. Jeff has done a great job in setting this up to where, you know, as far as a project that is starting from the ground zero, because that's what this is. You know, this is a brand-new roadway in a pasture land or whatever. You know, no development or whatever. As soon as the need for the project, you know, once you get through the Belle Savon issue and all that, and it was concentrated that this road needed to be built right here. This is our last opportunity to relieve congestion. Jeff, you know, was informed to set it up, and he set it up as quickly as possible, got a consultant on board. We've got plans very close to being finished. Right-of-way plans are right around the corner. You know, hopefully we don't get any little snags here and there, but the goal is to let a construction project for that connector in early '22. Now, the turn lane that DOTD requires on Bluff Road is a little bit of a unexpected hiccup, because they just informed us of that part, that we need to include that in the plans. So that's, you know, we're gonna need more money, but, you know, it'll be still part of the Move Ascension project to get that project, you know, get a little more work to that consultant to get that work going. DOTD certainly seems like they're cooperative on that, on giving us the information. If we can keep the checks of our plans with the district level as opposed to the DOTD headquarters level, which we think we're going to be able to do, it should speed the process of approval and all that. So, you know, it's in the works. I'm not saying there's not going to be some snafus and hiccups here and there, but Jeff's done a great job in assembling all the parties together and getting the design going light years ahead of what DOTD would do during the normal federal process.
I'm sure that's true. So I'm just going to be putting pressure.
Right,
We need it.
right.
We need it.
Dr. Calavoda with DOTD has also been very helpful, and, you know, he's very high up in the DOTD hierarchy.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a good source, you know, in case we run into some snags.
I'm happy to call him.
Right.
He tells me to call him Eric.
I call him Dr. Calavoda.
I know.
I didn't.
Does anybody else have anything for Mr. Turo? All right.
I did want to mention
Oh, I'm sorry,
one
go
thing. I
ahead.
know
Finish.
Dal had mentioned, just the desire for a meeting having to do with the transportation budget, and I've talked to Dawn Caballero. She's very open to that. So you can email me and tell me, you know, what's some good dates to put everything together. We do have, I guess just one thing I wanted to just briefly mention was that things that have come up, with all this crazy weather that we've had, we did, some of it's due to weather, some of it's just due to we're trying to be more diligent, and really John Diaz is on board with this, and it's just something that we want to stay ahead of, because we've had a few bridge issues lately, and we don't want to have unexpected bridge issues. We're okay with having expected bridge issues, but we've had, because of the weather, we've had a washout on Manchac Acres Road. We had to close a bridge down, so we have a project that's going to start next week in order to get that repaired to where we can open that bridge up again and open Manchac Acres Road. We are going to rate our parish bridges, which is not something that we've done before, and I don't think very many parishes do that. We rate our off-system bridges, but we do not rate our parish bridges. What that will do for us is to make us aware of repairs or deficiencies in these bridges, and there are 60 parish-owned bridges. So it will, the first step would be to evaluate the bridges. So that's going to, I kind of put ballpark numbers. It would cost about $300,000 to rate all of our parish-owned bridges. But we can do that a little bit at a time or whatever, but that would allow us to be able to address deficiencies in our parish bridges without having to wait for a high water event with scour frequency. Whenever we pump a lot in all of our bayous, it does tax our bridges. So it would allow us to stay ahead of the game. So that's something that we would address at that meeting and throw that into the equation of our transportation budget, is that we do want to be more aggressive in evaluating all of our bridges, the off-system and the parish bridges. And it is something we just need to budget for. It's something that we have to do, because right now I have three bridges that require pile splicing to keep DOTD from closing them down. So that's going on right now. Thankfully, y'all agreed that to be done on an emergency-type basis. The other one is an emergency-type basis, is that scouring on Manchac Acres Road. So we want to make that more predictable, more to where it's budgeted, and we stay ahead of the game as opposed to reacting, which is what we're doing right now.
Gotcha. Councilman Hagesby?
Yeah, no, so really good to hear that we're moving that way. And just to elaborate a little bit on the request the other night, it was kind of tied to the proposed moratorium where, we were hearing about the increase in building materials, and it was kind of a request that, are we being, again, to your words, proactive on what we want to do next year in 2022, and talk about what does that cost look like? Is our budget gonna keep us from doing some of those projects? And I'm not sure how Move Ascension moves into our budget, but I think that would also be included, where we're just looking at, and again, this is something me and Mr. John have worked with through finance, where we're trying to get consider drainage and transportation to be two very important issues for our public. So just to get some more information out there as to what money we take in, where we're spending it, how are we deciding where to spend it. So I appreciate the effort.
All right. Ms. Catherine?
Joey, the flood has created, or showed us yet again, a problem on Perkins Road at the parish line with the bridge over Bayou Manchac. Has there been any discussion about raising that bridge? And what could we do to bring that to the attention of DOTD and see if we could get some movement on that.
I guess, talking to Dr. Calavoda about it would be a good way of just bringing it up. I don't know exactly why that bridge, the roadway and the bridge dips so much in that area. I know it, just in a discussion about, separate discussion about capacity improvement, it's just in the same area. It's not a drainage issue, but it's a capacity issue. Whenever, they brought up what areas could we expand roadways to help traffic congestion, well, that one certainly would be a good one, but I know the East Baton Rouge Parish President said they couldn't support it because the residents on their side of the parish line would not want to give up their property in order to support that. That is a capacity, it's not a drainage issue, but, whenever, so apparently it's going to stay a 2-lane roadway. I don't know why we couldn't raise it a foot or so. I mean, that baffles me also. I don't know exactly why. I don't have a good answer to the question.
So would you get back to me on that for the
Sure.
next meeting? Let's talk to Dr. Calavoda, let's talk to Sharon Weston Broom, and let's find out, because this is creating a more significant problem during flood conditions, which exacerbates the frustrations for folks who are flooded and can't get where they need to go. And I will tell you that I would be willing to speak to Ms. Broom. It's just as difficult for her residents to get into Ascension Parish, which they do with considerable frequency. Many of them use our Walmart in Ascension. Many of them go to restaurants in Ascension. They're having to go around just like we are. So, and unfortunately, they can not go around and find lots of places to shop. So I think it would benefit us economically, and I certainly think it would be a benefit to our public to be able to have less congestion on the airline whenever we have a flood event. And obviously, we're having those with far more frequency than we'd like to talk about. But that's just the new reality.
Gotcha.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Can you get back to us on
Sure.
that on the next? And if you need
Absolutely.
my help, I'm happy to meet with anybody I need to meet with.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Appreciate you.
Anything else, Mr. Turo? All right, Joey, thank you so much. Now we got Mr. Jeff Burst from HETB. Give us a Move Ascension update. You popular. Yeah, it's up part.
Good evening.
Jeff.
In front of you, they have your standard, the usual monthly Move Ascension briefing in your packet. I will run through these, and some of them you've seen before, so I'll keep it high level, and we can certainly drill down in any area that you like. Start here with all the projects that have completed construction, and you can see there's been 8, with the first 6 being actual roadway constructions or clearing projects. As Joey mentioned before, the Highway 930 and Henry Road roundabout is under construction now, and will be completing before the end of the summer. Also, which has already been let, we talked a good bit earlier about the Cebro project, and while I haven't been in necessarily all of the meetings or involved in all of the conversations, I would like to mention to this committee that Joey does have my complete support in the changes he's making. It will absolutely add benefit to the project. It will be a deductive change order and save a considerable amount of money that we can move over to other projects. The delays are unfortunate, but the changes he's making, and I fully support, is an absolute positive move for the project. So I didn't want to just gloss over that. I did want to mention what we have as far as next up. We've already advertised and took bids on 2 projects. The Joe Savario, I have Roddy here listed, intersection improvements of both Norwood and the Merritt Evans Duval intersection. We accepted bids on that one, as well as Roddy Road from Airline Highway to 935, the clearing project there. So that would then extend the clearing from Airline Highway all the way to 621. Would give us a clear 3.2-mile path. That way, it can then get in the queue to start relocating utilities so that we can then begin construction down the line. And I'll touch a little bit more about the order of construction based on utility relocations. I believe that the Finance Committee went ahead and agreed to accept those bids at last night's meeting. So at the next council, that will be before y'all to approve accepting that. And then what we can do is get with the contractor while the contracts are getting in place and have pre-construction meetings and get those going as well. Next two up, it was mentioned earlier about impact fees being used for the 61 Germany intersection improvements. That will be advertised before the end of this month, and either at the end of this month or early part of next month, you'll see the clearing for Henry Road from 73 to Tillotson as well. So be a lot of activity in that 930, Henry, Roddy to and Airline Highway corridors coming up. Next down in your agenda, moving into pre-construction.
Actually, Jeff, real
I believe-
quick, I'm
yes,
sorry.
sir.
The highway, the airline in Germany intersection improvement, when do you think, assuming we get the bids lined up, everything right, when do you think that's going to actually start the construction process? Do you have a timeline in your head?
The earliest would be the end of summer.
Okay.
Because if we get this advertised in the next several weeks, they'll still have
30 days or something?
30 days ballpark before we take bids. And then typically to get Finance Committee, then council approvals, get them under contract, hold a pre-construction meeting, and then we have to allow them some assembly and mob period. So then you're probably looking at the end of August.
Okay. I was just curious because
It's-
I go that way. That's a personal thing because I go that way to work every day. And I
No,
just want to know
I
when I
understand,
can't go
and-
that way to work.
And when we say we're going to advertise for construction at the end of this month, it just seems, why so elongated of a process? But there are
Well,
a
yeah.
lot of procedural steps that have to take place, both contractually and by ordinance.
That's fine. Thank you.
Last month, several of the council members asked about the project delivery process and seemingly how a lot of these projects take a long time to get from inception through construction. And there are a lot of steps involved in that, and we've kind of discussed some of those steps. And I think I sent some information out on, let's say, the DOTD standard process of going from a feasibility through environmental, preliminary, final design, how they fund it, go to construction, et cetera. And, being former DOTD myself, I've taken that process and somewhat streamlined for Move Ascension because every single one of those steps might not be pertinent to some of our projects. And here in your packet, just as a quick example, have put together a little example timeline of a few intersection improvements done along Highway 44 recently completed. And that was a DOTD project. And then I compared it to the three recent Highway 73 at Brown, Oakland, and Henry Move Ascension turn lane intersection improvement projects. And you can see some of the differences here. And I know you haven't had time to quite digest that, so I can certainly follow back up with you with more specific examples of answer your questions, answer emails, come back to meetings and answer this. But as you can see, they did 4 intersections on Highway 44, beginning with when they started survey until they just finished construction in May of 21. 7.5 years. As you can see, at the beginning of 2018, we began our survey, and again, went through the same steps of survey, preliminary design, environmental, got our core permits, developed right-of-way maps, final design. We acquired the right-of-way, we relocated utilities, let it, and went through the construction process. And as you can see, began in 2018 and finished mid-2020. So 7.5 years and 2.5 years. And again, there was another intersection involved, a lot more probably on all 4 legs, to be fair. whereas, some of ours, but this is just to give you an example of so many of the steps that are involved, and because I was asked to kind of bring something this month regarding timelines and all of the phases that go into any construction project, even if it's seemingly something small like adding turn lanes at an intersection, the process can be quite lengthy. Now, fortunately, we've been able to find some streamlining efficiencies for Move Ascension, and that's evidenced as what you see here in this. And that's just one example. And to be honest, maybe there are some complexities with the 44 project that the department had done that I'm unaware of. But these dates came from their own public provided documents, so I just modeled it off of that.
I would love to see this for Highway 42. It'd be a long piece of paper.
I do not have that information.
It would be like all of us put together.
Yeah, Val would hold one side and you would hold the other.
So
Still wouldn't be long enough.
But it's a beautiful road.
It is a beautiful road.
it is. And again, I'll leave that with you to digest at your leisure, and I can certainly provide any further details. That's just very high level based on the dates that each of those phases started and the comparison of what we've been able to accomplish with Move Ascension. Next, item 5 on the agenda really is key, because that is a critical path of all of these projects, and that is the utility relocations. So that after we have the right-of-way maps and finalizing design and acquiring the right-of-way, once we do, we have to get these utility companies in there to relocate, and that is very time-consuming. And a lot of these companies, they only have several crews, and we're fighting for their time between DOTD projects, other parish projects, Move Ascension projects, private development, their own internal maintenance of their lines, et cetera. So, as you can see, we've completed a good bit of the projects with regard to utility relocations. Shell Pipeline, we've extended some casing on several of theirs, and we'll, again, at the end of this month, or beginning first week of July, on the Parker roundabout, Shell's going to get in there and do their work. We have a couple underway at, as the previously mentioned, Germany Airline, intersection improvements, and again on Roddy, that's wrapping up. Here in the pipeline, we'll be ready here within weeks at 930 and 929 in Parker, as I mentioned, Church Point and Roddy, and several of these others. We're trying to hit a lot of these roundabouts first because the limited number of linear feet of lines to move, they can get in there and get out, move to another roundabout, and we can start laying asphalt. And if we can get 3, 4, 5 of these roundabouts underway while we're doing the intersection improvements at Germany and Airline and some of the clearing on Roddy, then we can then marshal their troops out to Highway 930, Roddy Road, because those are elongated multi-mile corridors where it's going to take 6-9 months just to get all the utilities relocated after we clear. Then we can start getting our roadway contractors in there in various parts of the parish. And so, as I mentioned, that is definitely the critical path. Item 6 just gives you a very high level of right-of-way acquisition. As you can see, we've already acquired 241 parcels as part of Move Ascension. We've identified 428 for the 23 roadway projects we need to acquire right-of-way on for asphalt-driven projects. We have a lot of other projects in the pipeline, but they don't require a right-of-way. That's over 56% already acquired. And 12 projects are 100% acquired, with another 5 by this summer. So we are aggressively moving along. But again, just like the project timeline you have in your packet, it was asked, well, what are all the steps? Why does it take so long just to get one parcel? And we're trying to acquire 428 parcels. Well, you could see the steps in your packet right here. This is what goes in to acquire one parcel. If it's 10 square feet or if it's 4 acres. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated. As you can see, the added steps at the bottom, there are federal funds involved. Also, DOTD comes in with some of their approvals if some of the federal funds have to flow through their process which we do on several projects. We've been working very well with them. They do a great job. But as you can see, each of these parcels to acquire require a lot of time and effort. And I will just show you, Darla, if you don't mind, could you just hand them that? This wasn't to necessarily be made part of the briefing, so I only made a couple. But you can see, this is an example from one of the Roddy projects. It had 67 parcels on this one segment with 3 segments along Roddy. And this just kind of goes to show you the steps involved and how we track it. And the level of effort just to get one done. And anyway, I know this is a lot of information. That's why it wasn't necessarily part of the briefing, but I did want to just hand out a couple of copies, and that way you can kind of see, this is how we track it, and you can see the number of steps and stages which correspond with the sheet in your handout. Again, this is just an example, just to kind of show where we're at a real high level. I know it's a lot to digest. Again, that's one segment along Roddy. That's actually the segment between 935 and 621. And there was 67 parcels to acquire there. Moving into the financial section, that is section 7 in your packet. This is something you've seen the last several months. I left it in tonight's briefing. It just talks about leveraging federal, state, and local dollars. I can certainly answer any questions about this, but this is the same information that's been given out before. And same thing with the ongoing activities. But I will stop there for 1 second because Joey hit on it a good bit. And I can certainly, drill down with you on any one part. But we did recently have a meeting at DOTD regarding the Highway 73 corridor. And Joey mentioned a lot of the phases of that, so I won't reiterate any of that other than to say we are working very closely with DOTD on our Bluff to 73 connector. We have a meeting with them on Thursday about the additional requirements they will put on the project that will require added scope and work to our consultant, but it will create a benefit to the project. In addition, they're working with us on the 621 realignment. As Joey mentioned, we are able to slide $3 million in federal monies to build the roundabout at the 73 Bluff Road connector. They are wrapping up, and Councilwoman Cazzo, you had mentioned, or asked the question rather, what are they doing in their commitment? I can mention that they did share with us they are wrapping up their roundabout report to provide to us by the end of this month. We will then use our federal funds and one of our consultants to begin immediately the design of the roundabout, which will take the southbound approach and continue it north to where it is a 3-lane roadway, to then widen that out into the approach and then go through the roundabout. As Joey mentioned, and it was an excellent point that you had brought up about public outreach. That would be critical for not just the roundabout and how do people navigate, but all the projects in that corridor. So we'll have a public meeting, open house style, where we will field stations, talk about right-of-way, how it's acquired, the design. We will have what we can do is like an animated tutorial demonstration of how do you navigate through a roundabout. And then with all of the other improvements, the connector, the right-in, right-out at Seabro, all of that can hopefully show the public a full picture of all of the improvements throughout the corridor that will help them navigate through and across the parish. In addition, DOTD has already purchased property for the 621 realignment to 73 to the tune of $2 million. So they're not just giving us their technical expertise on the roundabout report and providing that to us so we can begin our design, but they are designing in-house that realignment and have already committed several $1 million in real estate acquisition monies. So I would say they are committed to all of these projects and are working in collaboration with us. And again, we have another meeting with them on this Thursday to continue those efforts on the Bluff Connector and the requirements that are going to be conditioned on that project.
Ms. Cazzo, hold on.
So Jeff, whenever you all did the big intersection at 42 and Airline, I remember watching a model, and it showed you sitting at that intersection, and nobody wanted to believe that J-turns would work, and so you showed the cars going through. You could literally watch yourself go by.
Yes, ma'am, that's
It
correct.
works. I would encourage you to do the same kind of thing about this corridor. Because I can tell you immediately when a roundabout was mentioned there, I started getting phone calls about, we're gonna be sitting in a roundabout all day long. I mean, it just backs up to a dead stop. So we're gonna need to educate that this can work. And I think we need to prove it to ourselves. So I would encourage you to do that.
Yes, we will absolutely look at that because a lot of the traffic modeling will have to be done for the roundabout design, and we can capture that information and then put that into something that is easily understandable by the general public. DOTD has also asked us, with the assistance of our public outreach subconsultant, to assist them and their internal staff with the public meeting, with the environmental clearance process. We've been highly successful in securing for all Move Ascension projects thus far, except for the recently added ones, all of the Corps of Engineer permits. So we are working in collaboration with them on that, as well as we will be helping spearhead that public outreach campaign.
I'm thrilled to hear that. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. I did want to back up. I mentioned about the financials because we've covered this in depth, and I'm certainly happy to go back to it and answer any questions you have. But I did want you to draw your attention to the second to last bullet in there, and that's that special federal exempt money that Ascension we were able to secure of any of the other entities in the MPO. It's $2.4 million. And this has the special ties to it with a federal authorization deadline by the end of this federal fiscal year. We have already completed our surveys. We're beginning the construction proposal packet, and we're getting way ahead of the game so that we can sit down with DOTD here in the coming weeks, show how far we've advanced, so that it's our intention to help work with them to do the heavy lifting to make sure we meet all of those deadlines, because this is that specialty exempt money that goes away. It cannot be reallocated, and the deadline cannot be extended. And we certainly plan on not only capturing and taking advantage of that for the state of Louisiana, but certainly for Ascension Parish. And that goes to fund the overlay of 11 separate roadways. So
That's gonna be great.
I do want to mention that. And with that, that's the end of my briefing, but I'm happy to take any additional questions y'all have.
Any questions for Jeff? Well, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate the update every month.
Yep, certainly,
As
thank you.
always. All right. Let's see, 5D, request for approval for a 60-day no-cost extension to extend the contract with Gresham Smith for the 73 at 621 intersection relocation traffic study. Deadline from June 12th, 2021 to August 11th, 2021.
So moved.
I got a motion from Ms. Cazzo, a second from Mr. Cagnolati. Any questions, objections, discussion? All right.
Don't you dare.
All right. And letter E, amendment to a reduction of the construction inspection contract with MB Design Consultants by $80K. This $80,000 will be moved to the CDBG sewer improvement contracts. I guess they want you to talk about it, Joey. I know you came up last time for no reason. Yeah, but we want to know what this one's about because we're moving $80,000 from one project to another.
This is MB Design did do some inspection for us on Move Ascension. Move Ascension no longer needs those services, so those monies are going to be used by the other section, and that's the CBDG group for sewer inspection.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Ms. Terry, second by Mr. John. Any objections? Any discussion? All right, that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Mr. Cagnalotti, second by Mr. Wagisback to adjourn. Any objections? All right.
Everybody there.
Let's go home. Thank